Hey everybody, this is Amanda from Elaborate Eyes Face Painting in Cleveland, Ohio, and I just wanted to make a quick video to talk about the new Proaiir and Dips products that have been on the market for about a year now. They're the hybrid makeup that is alcohol based, so they're pretty water resistant, good for pool parties and really hot sweaty days. And I've gotten them recently. I've had one gig with them, so I am by no means an expert, but a lot of people are asking about them and how to use them, and so I just thought I would share a little bit of how I figured it out and some tips, and then hopefully this helps some other people decide whether or not if they want to get it. So I will give you a little demonstration and be right back. Okay, so I have you zoomed in on my palette here. I have bought all 7 of the Dips colors that are out now. Here's a few of them. I think there are more coming out soon, which will be nice. For right now, there's a red, hot pink, a blue, purple, black, white, and yellow. I have also bought 4 of the Proaiir hybrid airbrush paint, this bubblegum and a yellow, electric blue, and green. There's a lot more colors of the hybrid Proaiir than there are of the Dips, and those are the ones that are really thin for airbrush. And Donna from Show Off's Body Art sells these spray bottle tops that you can add on to them so that you can mist them, which makes it easier for if you're using brush and sponge work instead of airbrush. So a little bit about the paint. It's all liquid, and you need to have a container that kind of keeps the colors separate, something like this. This is just a craft storage container that I cut the lid off of. When I started playing with them, I originally had this container that I love because it's really shallow. It's only like ½ an inch deep. And this actually was a hardware container that had like nuts and bolts in it from the hardware store. But it wasn't big enough to have all the colors in, but it was kind of a nice little practice palette. So those are actually really nice. The colors you can use individually or you can mix them together. And what I have found is the Dips on their own are a little too thick for most brushwork. It just needs thinned a little. So option 1 is you put your color in the Dips and then you do 1 spritz of alcohol. These are all alcohol based paints, so you need 91% alcohol or higher. I've heard of a mythological creature called 99% alcohol, but I have never actually seen it. That would probably be even better, but who knows. So this bottle just has 91% alcohol that I can get at the drugstore. So like if you put this in, 1 good spritz of this is, you know, it's putting in a decent amount in 1 spritz with this bottle, and that is like the perfect amount to get the right consistency. The other trick I have found, which I think is even better, is to take your Dips paint and mix it with some of the Proaiir, because the Proaiir is thin but still has color, and the Dips is a little too thick, and so you mix them together and you get in some cases a better color and also like the perfect consistency of paint. So you can kind of see, this is my blue container, and I actually take the blue or electric blue Proaiir that I bought and mix it with the blue Dips, and it gets a much better color, because this color, if you can see it right here, is this kind of a weird blue. It's almost a turquoisey color a little bit, and it's dark, and it's not like the blue everybody wants. This color is how it comes out when you mix the this blue and the Dips, and you get a better blue, and you could even make it a little lighter if you went more of this, and it gives you a better consistency. This is the second time I filmed this, but my battery died, so I'm trying again, so I will show how this works. With these spray bottles, keep the caps, because as you can see, this one and my yellow, for whatever reason, when I shake them up, which you have to do, you have to shake all of these before you use them, For whatever reason, it leaks through here and it makes a mess, so definitely keep the caps. The other thing is, if you use them a bunch and then they sit and they dry up, you have to scrape the little like hole there to get the dry stuff out of it, because I made the mistake of not checking that once and it sprayed all over. So do that. Make sure everything is shaken up really well. You have to shake all of these. So with this, I take and I spritz a couple in there, and then with the dips, you have to burp the bottle. So you have to take the main cap and twist it, and you'll hear it kind of like a little bit of air out, and then you can open the top without it like spurting out, which I've done a few times. So I take that and mix a little bit of the blue dips in there so you can see that. And I take my brush and just kind of mix them together. And this gives me what I have found to be the perfect consistency of paint for line work. It's just thick enough. So I will do more swirls here. And this one had a little bit more of the Proaiir in it, so it looks almost a little bit lighter. And it goes on really, really nice, as you can see. So I actually mixed a bunch of these. Orange, which I accidentally made two, is the yellow hybrid Proaiir, and a little bit of red dips and a little bit of yellow dips. So that's how I got my orange. It's a pretty bright orange, but it worked really well, and then you get that same good consistency. My purple, the dips purple, as you can see, is pretty dark. So I actually do the purple with the bubblegum Proaiir, and that gives me a little bit of a prettier purple there. The yellow, I mix both the yellow dips and the Proaiir, and that gives it a better consistency, because on their own, either one of them not very opaque, and this helps. And I have a gray here that I mixed together, and even a lighter blue that I did in this one. You can also see over here, I've tried to make a few sort of one-stroke spots. Both of these have blue in them, and the blue is really overpowering. So in this one, it's white, blue, and purple, and the blue just takes over. So it's okay, it's good enough. Little girls want a frozen mask or a frozen crown. This one I tried to do a rainbow, and the blue again took over. It was too much blue. I think I needed to make a thicker line of yellow, but I kind of just squeeze out a line of each and then brush it on. Not my best one-stroke work, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's tricky. It's not as easy as using regular rainbow cakes, but you know, it does the job, so it's probably good enough, and nobody's complaining. The other thing is the white. The black works great, beautifully. Like I said, just add a little bit of alcohol to the black, and this black, you can see there's a good amount of paint in here, so I'm just going to spritz it. Even maybe twice. I'll kind of see how that goes, and then that'll reactivate it, and the black is really pretty easy to work with. The white, on the other hand, is the most difficult to work with. You have to shake it extra. You really have to shake it every time you use it, and Donna, who invented these, says that you can hear it getting thicker as you shake it, but you can't hear it at a noisy pool party. So just kind of shake, 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 shake until you, I guess, think it's okay. So the white, I'm gonna burp it and then twist. The white is tricky. The white is not as easygoing as the rest of the colors. It doesn't have the same consistency, and you still have to thin it a little. I feel like if I had the white Proaiir and could mix those two together, it would probably be perfect. But it dries out a lot faster than the other colors. It seems to just thicken and harden up faster, and it's just trickier to work with. The one thing I really don't like about this is that as I'm reactivating this paint that's already in there, I really have to swish my brush around a lot, and after 3 hours, my brushes started looking pretty nasty, bristles sticking out all over the place and everything, and I was having a hard time keeping a nice clean brush without really being able to clean them in the middle of the gig just because you can't use water. So here's the white. It goes on pretty decently, but you can kind of see my third swipe there, I'm already running out of paint because it's already sort of drying up. You have to reload your brush a lot more with these paints, I think, than with normal paints, and a lot of it is just based on consistency and heat. Right now I'm inside, so they're okay, but earlier today when it was 85 degrees outside and I was playing with them, they dried up a lot faster. So you constantly have to be spraying them with alcohol to get them to work, or to have the right consistency. One other thing that I wanted to show you, people have been asking about how do you use a sponge with these. So this palette under here, which is just the lid to another big tote, scrapbooking tote, you can see I've been using it sort of as my spray palette. And you can see it kind of sprays out a little bit. It's not the perfect solution, but we'll get there. So I'm going to shake up my colors. Oops, wrong one. Gotta shake them up good. I'm not really sure the best amount of time. And like I said, I've had one real event with these, and I'm by no means an expert, so maybe somebody figures something out that's a little bit better than the way I'm doing it. So I'm going to spray my colors. I don't know about you, but I like to have multiple colors on one sponge. I'm also just scraping this with my nail here to make sure that it's not dried up on there. And I'm normally not sitting so close to it. Okay, so I've got a sponge, and this actually I was using earlier, so it's got some paint on it already, but you can kind of see it's really just on the edge. It's not really wet enough to soak into the sponge, which is kind of a good thing. So I just kind of rub it and dab it onto my sponge, try and get it soaked up into the sponge there. And now I've got it on here, and so I'm going to show you up here how you sponge it on. And it sponges on pretty much the same as regular face paint once you've got it on there, but it dries out, it definitely dries out faster, again, especially in the heat, and you can kind of see. And I use this for like a seaside face, so the water, and then it goes up into the sky. I normally have a better line there. So you can kind of see how these go on. Now, these are already mostly dried out. So if you get to that point, you can just spritz it with a little bit more alcohol to re-wet it, and then there you go. The color is a little bit less vibrant when you do that, but it's not terrible. And this bubblegum pink it's not really a bright color. It's a very light pink. I think if I went back over it again, it would probably brighten up, but sometimes it's just not very bright. So you can kind of see how that worked after just reactivating it. And that's how you sponge on color. It's a little more tricky. It does smell like alcohol, which, funnily enough, almost every kid who got in my chair at my gig yesterday said, "Ooh, this smells good." So apparently it's not a bad thing, because they didn't mind. One other trick is I kept this bottle of rubbing alcohol here, because I found that after a while my brushes, this one's not that bad actually, they got dried out. I haven't used this in a while, you know, maybe it's been 15 minutes since I used this color, so it's totally hardened up. And you can just re-wet your paint and rub it in there, and that'll break up the paint in your brush and re-wet it. But I found that if I did that too much, I was really kind of messing with my bristles, started getting weird again, like I mentioned. So I would take my brush and just dip it in. I actually had more in it than this, so I didn't have to bend the bristles. So now I've got a really wet brush, and then I would put it into the paint, help reactivate the rest of the paint. And my bristles didn't have dry paint in the middle then. It really helped get my brush back to being wet so that it could paint right again. That was a good trick that I figured out when I was practicing, because you end up with all these brushes and they dry out because you haven't used them in a while, and that really helped that make it easier to paint with. Trying to think. I believe that's about as many tips as I have. I'm hoping as more people get used to using these, they help share their tips and tricks and how they figured out how to do things. I'm sure there's better ways than this for some of it. I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go, and I have one more big event in a few weeks, and hopefully I'll book a few more, but it's definitely cool. And at the pool party it sounded like everybody was getting in and out of the water without any problems, and I've played with it in my pool and it seemed to work pretty well, so held up for quite a while. So it's definitely a cool product. If you get it, give yourself some time to play with it and sit down and give yourself a few days of really playing with it and messing with it, because it's not as easy to pick up when you're used to face painting a certain way. Then you're used to the way your paints react and how your paints handle on your brush, and it's just different. So it takes some getting used to, and it's a little frustrating, but it's worth it, and it'll be good when you get a gig and, you know, they want you to paint at the pool, and you can say, yeah, I can go ahead and do that. So hopefully this helped, and I'd love to see pictures of what you guys are painting with it. All right, bye.